but this time I happen to believe is a little different. And here's what I mean. You see, interest rates, mortgage rates have essentially hit the lowest point in US history. What does that mean? That means that we now have an opportunity, whether it's someone who is first starting off in the workforce, whether it is someone who's the most seasoned of business person, and everyone in between. Everyone has the ability today to take advantage of the cost of money, meaning interest rates. And so today, in today's world, the 30-year interest rate is so low. You're talking about the low threes, upper twos in a sense, and then 15-year money in the upper twos as well, mid twos, depending on the product pricing and so on. So in today's world, we can all give ourselves an economic boost if you're a homeowner by taking advantage of the interest rates. If you are a renter, if you think about it right now, the cost of money, meaning interest rates, if you take that factor and take it up against what you're paying in rent versus what that can actually afford you to buy, in my 21 years of business, I have never seen an opportunity like this. And so for those that are in that position that could possibly take advantage of it, give yourself a boost in the arm. The interest rates right now are amazing. They're volatile, but they're amazing.
Yeah, I'm working with a client. Steve, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it was a perfect segue. We're working with people that they're in a situation where they have to move. Their rent is up, and the landlord has already rented their home to someone new, and they're going to be homeless if they don't find a place to either re-rent or to purchase. They were already searching for something to purchase. This all happened, and it kind of threw a wrench in the mix. But some people are in a situation where they have to keep looking and need to buy something or need to rent something. The people that are fortunate enough to hold two mortgages or can wait a little bit to sell their home, that's great. But there are more than not that are in dire need to find a place for themselves to live. Otherwise, they will be homeless.
So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, well, you bring an interesting point. I know we've been working with several first-time home buyers. In fact, we got a few pre-approved last week for you, so we thank you for that. If we kind of chop it up into different categories, the first-time home buyer today is at such a great advantage in a whole host of ways. Number one, where interest rates are today. Okay, so as an example, if someone was looking for a home 6 months ago, and it's a $300,000 house, that home would have cost you perhaps $150, $175, maybe even $200 more per month than it would today. So that same payment can actually now buy you, let's say, instead of a $300,000 house, a house for $375 or $385. See, that low interest rate allows you to buy more house in today's market. So that's one big thing for first-time home buyers. The second thing for first-time home buyers is, and we talk about this at our Smart Home Buyer event, that if you don't necessarily have the money for closing costs today, now more than ever, the potential of getting sellers to pay closing costs because they really want to sell their home today, especially the ones that are vacant, we are now seeing that ability to do so, meaning, as you great agents know, you're working with a first-time home buyer. Let's assume for a second they have enough for just first, last, and security, which is normal. And if they don't have money for closing costs, now we can find them a house, a vacant house, and we can say, hey, look, if we can close in 15 days or 20 days, would you be willing to pay our buyers closing costs? And that's the advantage that first-time home buyers can put themselves into in today's market that sometimes wouldn't happen, let's just say 6 months or a year ago.
So I'm currently reading Gary Keller's book, Shift, about market shifts. Usually we don't have a shift like this. We've never had a shift like this, but it is some sort of shift, even if it's a very short-term shift because of the things that are happening right now with the coronavirus. So I've been telling everyone, I read this in the book, chaos creates opportunity. So if you are there and you have the ability to buy, there are potential to make a deal that you couldn't make 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. We had an agent in the office, Cole, the other day, had an offer accepted on a $175,000 condo for $150,000. and it was comped out that should have been 175. $25,000 reduction in price on $175,000 is a massive, massive reduction. That wouldn't have happened 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So we are seeing that if you're positioning yourself correctly in this crazy market, the chaos will present some opportunity for you. And with Matt's products, they can still lend in a really fast timeline, because there's, like he said, there's vacant houses out there that sellers do want to sell, condos or townhouses. And if we can be aggressive with the terms, that's usually going to result in a better price for you as the buyer.
Absolutely. And I know we've been working on a client here that looks like they're about to come into contract. And it's important for us to let everyone who's listening know what we're working on right now. So we have that wonderful first-time home buyer. You know, they know their lease is going to end, and we're putting together an offer, a structure to where we can close in 14 days. I mean, to a seller in today's market, that's a big relief. And that big relief yields sometimes a lower sale price and perhaps some closing cost concession given back to the buyer, which we're in the process of structuring. So those are the opportunities for a first-time home buyer, or even a buyer who has already owned in the past. The loan products that we are offering, none of them have been changed. About, I don't know, maybe 60, 70, 80% of the lenders out in today's marketplace have changed a lot of different programs and guidelines, and we have not. What do we mean by that? There's still a no down payment loan. It's a government-backed loan. It's a consumer-friendly loan that you can take advantage of, meaning you don't have to have a down payment. And with today's interest rates, you might even look at it and say, I might as well just keep my money and not put a down payment. We have the wonderful FHA product that accounts for about 40% of today's marketplace. You could have as low as a 580 credit score in today's market to take advantage of a 3.5% down payment. And to put numbers into a 3.5% down payment, if you take a $300,000 house, okay, as an example, you know, the typical down payment that would be needed would be equivalent to first, last, and security. So it's going to be the same and match up to what it would cost you to rent that home. It's interesting. Zach, who works very closely to me, had a wonderful line. He came from the financial world. That was his background. And he said to me brilliantly, now I want everyone to pay attention to this, okay? He said, you know, there's the stock market and there's the housing market, okay? In the stock market, you can go to cash, meaning you can say, you know what, I'm going to keep my money in a savings account and I'm not going to invest into any stocks. That's what you can do. But in the housing market, there is no cash position. You're either renting or you're owning. And so your money is already in the game and will always be in the game. So when we look carefully at the ability of, let's say, a $2,500 lease payment that someone's paying today, roughly that would equate to somewhere in the neighborhood of around $400,000 in buying power, perhaps. That's a big number. That's a big number to consider. So whether it's a first-time buyer or an existing home shopper, I got to tell you something. Your timing is serendipitous, and it can be actually perfect.
Yeah, and we were talking about sell high, buy low. Now, for a lot of people, that does sound confusing. So how can I sell at the very highest and still buy low? So we were talking about this before, and the prices are still high. So yes, if you list your home, it will still sell at a higher price than most likely when you bought it, unless you bought it at the height of the market last time around, 07, 08 possibly. But when you go to buy that next house and you're upgrading, the interest rates are so low, historically, they're lowest they've ever been, that you are going to save money on your monthly payment so you can still get in at a lower monthly nut.
Absolutely. So about 3 weeks ago, when interest rates really took a dip, I was talking to, you know, great agents like yourself, and I said, oh my gosh, to be a homeowner that's not in their ideal home, it couldn't be a better time. Now, what do we mean by not your ideal home? So I emailed carefully about 500 existing homeowners, and I asked them a question. I said, are you in your ideal home? To which 60% of them wrote back saying, no, I'm not in my ideal home. And what do we mean by ideal home? Meaning, do you see yourself being there for the next 24 to 36 months? Have you added a family member? Do you need to upgrade for another purpose, a school zone, whatever it may be? Do you want a house with a pool? Do you want a second floor? Whatever that dream scenario is, if you don't see yourself in your existing home today or for the next 24 to 36 months, here's what I want you to consider, okay? In most markets here in Palm Beach County and Broward and so on, we are still in what would be considered a seller's market, okay? So in a seller's market, agents such as Christian and Steve that are here right now can get you maximum dollar for the sale of your house. Okay, so now someone would say, all right, let me make sure I understand this. I can actually sell high because I'm in a seller's market. Well, what does that mean when I turn around and buy? Well, when you turn around and buy, even if you're paying market value for that new home that you're looking to purchase, with interest rates being at their absolute historic level, the total cost of the home, because what you pay in interest on the loan is also the total cost of the home, is much lower than it ever has been. So we said, oh my gosh, think about this. Someone has the ability to sell high and borrow low, which means the cost of their home is overall lower. So we came up with a simple 5-step exercise for homeowners to understand, wait a minute, can I do this? And that exercise is really, really simple. And we also came up within that exercise some quick money factors. For those that are listening today, you can use a money factor of about $750 a month, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, for every $100,000 that you borrow. So on a $200,000 house, about $1,500 a month with everything. On a $300,000 house, about $2,250 for everything. And the numbers go on and on. So 750 for every 100,000 you borrow is a good barometer. Think about the monthly payment you want to be at as an existing homeowner, where you want to upgrade to. Think about that monthly payment and then just do the 100,000 multiplier to see if you can get there.
It's a great, easy calculation. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to grasp.
Perfect. What I just want to add to that. So we've been using this model and reference to contact all the people that are helping buy and sell. So we're following all the correct measures that the CDC has been putting out to keep homes clean and sanitized. We're conducting showings. People are discouraged to list a home, and so we've been letting the people who we have listed with us, and I think the people that are listening who are thinking about selling in the near future or were thinking about selling, or the agents that are listening that are trying to figure out a way to prepare, I don't want to say convince, I want to say prepare the buyers and sellers that you're working with. We're doing the best we can to make sure that when we do schedule showings, we're kind of going one in, one out, or we have sanitizer wipes, hand sanitizer, making people feel comfortable that, in a time of crisis and pandemic, that, you can still really find a home, especially if you need to. And so we want to make sure that everyone is well informed and prepared and not scared and panicking and almost, being a little cautious and saying, you know what, I'll wait until this is all done because prices are going to drop. We just don't know what the market is going to say or do at that time. But for the people who are dire need to find something and need to sell their home to do, be closer to family or whatever it may be, we're taking all the correct steps. We're making sure everyone is comfortable in the position that they're in. And my question to you, Matt, is, you work with a lot of other agents in the industry, and, is it something that they bring up a lot in the recent weeks? Is it something that's a concern for listings and for people that are buying?
Well, it's a great question. And, I was thinking about it as you were talking. So thank you, Steve. A couple things. Look, we all don't want to go and be the last to do anything when you stop and think about it, right? So we happen to believe as an industry, meaning the real estate industry and the finance industry, that we are poised and positioned to have a very strong market, particularly here in South Florida. We just have so many external factors that come into play that make South Florida a very demanding and high a hot market, I should say. Not to mention, the government is intervening at a very high level, doing everything they can and then some to keep the cost of money, meaning interest rates, low. Now, will they be at the absolute historic low that they are today? Maybe, maybe not. But will they be overall low? It's very reasonable to believe that they will be, which in turn controls sales. Think about this. We're going to get over this coronavirus. But even when we do, most people are going to say, wait a minute here. I don't want to be around this cold weather because I don't want the normal flu, where are they going to flock to? We understand that there was a mass exodus when it comes to New York, all the northern states because of the high taxation rates. Florida has been so well positioned and is well positioned to be of high demand. Okay, where am I going with this? If you're an existing homeowner and you were thinking about selling, we happen to believe that typical person who's thinking of selling is going to go ahead and come out of the woodwork after this is done with. Well, watch. Why not do it now? Why not beat the rush? If 100 people were thinking of selling today, more than likely 75 are going to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and wait till this is over. Be part of the smaller crowd, get it on the market. And here's what I mean. The first thing a seller could say is, yeah, but if I get it on the market today, who's going to see it? Oh my gosh, we have a captive audience like no other. People are sitting home. There's no work distraction. There's no other type of life distractions, whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but it's the truth. And so great agents like you all, I mean, look, you were just telling me today that your agent has been calling nonstop sellers and buyers to let them know what's on the market. Now their contact rates are higher than ever. So now would be the time to get it on the market before someone else gets on the market and beat it to the punch. So I think
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, please.
We're getting people on the phone that before were too busy to talk, didn't have time. I had a 40-minute conversation with a guy the other day that I couldn't get on the phone for more than 2 to 3 minutes at a time. So we have the people's attention. And like Matt said, you're going to be a big fish in a small pond at this point. So if your house is, if you're ready to sell, this is actually a good time because there are people looking. If they're not coming in personally, they're going to be ready to come in personally when they can because they're looking online. We're getting more search volume than we've ever had. Steve and I were talking about it today. We had the biggest, some of the biggest volume on our website and highest times that we've ever had in the last 2 weeks. So the people are there, and 90% of people find their home online. That's where they find it initially. So they're still going to find your house. They might not come there right away, but they're going to be ready when they can if they don't be proactive and do a virtual tour and try, and get in before. They will be there as soon as they can get in. And Matt, I had one big question for you because this is something I was very worried about and a lot of our buyers were worried about. And it helps sellers too, obviously. If I lost my job temporarily, if I was furloughed, if I was currently laid off from a company downsizing, how and is that going to affect my ability to get lending when this is over or currently?
And that's a great question. And my heart goes out to anyone who's under those type of circumstances today. All right, so let's break it up into a few pieces. Let's assume for a second someone is still with their employer. And let's assume that they're getting a salary and the salary continues. Okay, in that situation, no harm, no foul, financing still goes through and you close on your transaction. Let's assume for a second that you are still with your employer today and the employer didn't have the ability to keep you on the payroll. So now you're being furloughed. You don't have pay coming in. Cross-country's stance and position on this is very unique, unlike the rest of the industry, or majority of the industry, I should say. So our position on that is that all we need to do is verify that the person is still with the employer and verify that they're going to go ahead and continue work once this is over, and we'll still fund the loan even if they are currently not getting compensated. So that's a big thing. I know it sounds pretty weird about like, hey, well, why am I buying a home if I'm not currently getting compensated? Well, there could be a situation where one spouse is, one spouse isn't. That could have held you back from buying, but with us, it's not going to hold you back. If someone is laid off in its entirety, meaning they don't work for the employer, they don't have any income, at that point in time, then lending, of course, is going to be a challenge and lending wouldn't be had. But lending can pick up right where you pick up on that next job. So that's the good thing, that we can just get right back to it. So I hope that answered the question as it relates to the 3 different categories for employment in today's circumstance.
Yeah. Well, it brings up a good point. There are a lot of people who we are currently working with, our agents, everyone in our company here, that were under contract in the beginning of March. And they may have lost their job in the time period that they were doing the inspection or their loan commitment. And so the National Association of Realtors has created a extension addendum called the COVID-1, which is literally spells out every part of the contract that you can extend. Inspection periods, loan commitments, closing dates, you name it, it's on there in a very concise, easy to read, easy to understand extension. So another thing we've been doing, people that are panicking, I had someone call me, I need to cancel, I can't get on a plane, I can't do the inspection, you know, I just can't do it. Instead of just saying, okay, you know what, I need to call my seller right now and say, sorry, the deal is done because of what's going on. We have been telling buyers and sellers there's an extension agreement designed specifically for this, that will extend all the terms that buyer and seller both agree on, and no harm, no foul. You just need to wait this out. And if you still, obviously, if you got laid off, but you're still employed, there's an option for you. Exactly what Matt has mentioned. So it's not a time to panic. Like I said the other day, you know, and it's a time to prepare. And so what we're really stressing to all of our people is to just, we need to prepare, because this will end. And when it is over, like Matt said, you don't want to be the last one. So preparing early is the best way to beat this.
Yeah, we really, really do believe, along with Matt, that we're just there to keep everyone informed. So our job as a realtor,
the whole point of this,
sell. It really, at the end of the day, isn't to sell. It's to educate you so you make the best purchase and the best investment for you and your future. And it's changing every day. So whoever you're using, if it's not Matt as your lender and it's not us as your realtor, ask your realtor the tough questions and ask us the questions. We'll answer them, even if you're using somebody else. But you need to be prepared. And it's like Steve said and Matt said, it's not a time to panic. Be prepared and use it to your advantage, because there are situations where we could definitely use this to our advantage. I'm seeing it every day. We're still, I don't want to be that realtor on Facebook saying the market's red hot and everyone's selling everything and we're hitting record prices. But use it to your advantage that it's a little bit slower right now. It's slower. So you can use that as a seller and you can use that as a buyer. And we can tell you the steps and the process along with Matt to really position yourself in a good light.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to end with, you know, if you have been shopping and you were, let's say, speaking with another lender or what have you, and you've gotten some unfavorable results, meaning you were told that the loan can't go through or what have you, get a second opinion. You see what's happening is that a lot of lenders are taking different stances and different positions because they feel there's a lot of risk in the marketplace. We as a company, we're the top 5th largest non-bank in the country, give or take a few of those slots there. But what we're here to do is we have the same product set, nothing has changed, and I have to tell you that we're saving people left and right because a lot of people are being declined for other purposes. So as Christian said, take it to your advantage. Give yourself your economic relief. Give yourself a shot in the arm. It's a wonderful time to in our marketplace and a wonderful time to make the right deal for you.
Matt, we really appreciate it. A lot of knowledge. It's a lot of stuff that everyone needs to know, even renter, buyer, seller. It's something everyone needs to know. We're working with people every day. We're trying to guide them in the right direction, and it's information that's really valuable. So we really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
The thing about the internet, it's everywhere. I mean, we're
That's
working
right.
from home. We're in 3 different places right now, but we're able to come together and give you everything you need to do the right thing and make the right decision. So, you know, we want to help everyone that needs help. And any questions that you have, obviously, like Christian said, send them over. You know, you have our phone numbers, you have our emails. We're here for you. It's bottom line.
And we'll have this whole video saved. So if you came in midway at the end, if you're just coming in now, don't worry, you didn't miss anything, because we will have this video and we can email it to you. We can send it out to you. Just let us know and we'll send you the whole thing. Great info. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Zach in the background with the face for radio, keeping us going over here.
Thank you, guys.
Matt.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Take care, guys.